Kevin Quarrell on Community Radio, Kilkenny City.
And you're very welcome back to The Cutting Edge, here with Kevin Quarrell, and we're safely on the ground. I hope you enjoyed that audio piece there. We were very lucky to get it, by the way, but it was just even listening back to that. It was an amazing experience. Rory, what did you think? Your impression?
I thought it was great. I love where he was spinning you around and
yeah, I mean,
it's a little bit different than your radio voice.
Absolutely, yeah. And I wasn't minding my P's and Q's. I can assure you.
I was thinking by the beeps, there was a bit of fear there. Yeah.
That was actually Dave, the skydiver, that was swearing, not me.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And Dave, I mean, he was great. He's experienced 3,000 jumps, I think he said, when we were about 3,000 feet up in the air, which was kind of nice to know, you know. But it was an amazing experience. And I recommend, as in the case for myself, I do have this fear of heights, as I explained. I would recommend anyone consider doing that as a way of possibly overcoming a fear of heights as such, or to desensitise, I think might be the word. Because at 10,000 feet, and Liz, you would know this yourself, having done a jump, at 10,000 feet, when you look back down to the earth, it's not a distance that appears real. It's kind of it's like a photograph or something.
Yeah, it's like your brain can't connect that. Okay, that's the ground. So I think, to be honest, fear of heights, yeah, it can help you overcome the fear of heights. But I think a skydive, even without the fear of heights, can be very empowering.
Yeah, a skydive without a parachute would be now that'd give a bit of fear. All right, that'd have the adrenaline going. But yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like there's no markers up there. There's nothing, no reference points. So when you're falling, really, and Dave did say to me when we were in the plane was a little Cessna, which was, for all intents and purposes, to me it was like a Pringle can with wings. There wasn't much room in there. And he just, you know, he was saying that it's a bit like riding a motorbike without a helmet on for the wind speed that comes at you. And he pretty much got that bang on, I think, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's very fast, all right.
Yeah.
But I think also, just to point out there, for anyone who's thinking of doing a skydive, it's not just the fear of heights, it's letting someone else be in control of your life. That
is an excellent point, because I can say for you, to the listeners, when we're in the plane, to give you an idea of what it was like inside the Pringle can.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Held together with duct tape, as Eric said earlier. It's like you've got the pilot on the left-hand side. Then next to the pilot, you've got the door which you're going to exit the plane from. And there's probably only about 2 feet between the pilot and the door.
Yeah, if that.
And so the first jumping pair, which in this case was Eric and Carl, or Cue Ball, as he is known.
Yeah, he's
known. And we must admit, all the skydivers' names were great names. There was Dave, there was Carl, there was Shane. Breaker, all right, just really good skydiver names, you know. There was no Thorstons or anything like that. So anyway, you've got about 2 feet next to the pilot, and the door opens just to the right of that pilot. And the jumper and the master, the jumper needs to sit on the master's lap. Now, I was to the left of those again, right directly behind the pilot, and sitting on Dave's lap. And as I say, it's the first time I've actually sat on a man's lap probably since I was 4 years of age with my dear old dad, God rest him. But I was damn well pleased to have Dave there as well, and to be strapped on tight to him, you know. So it is very, very tight inside that plane, isn't it?
It is. To be honest, I don't think I'd want to come back down in the plane. I'm quite happy to go out the door at 10,000 feet. I think I'd be more afraid coming down in the plane.
Yeah, and you did mention about giving your life over, letting control go to somebody else. And I can tell you, when I got into the plane and had to kneel behind the pilot, I'm not as supple as what I used to be, let's put it that way. And I could feel a cramp beginning to come into my hamstring. And I thought, this is going to be dire. Because I think it takes about maybe 10 minutes or so to climb to 10,000 feet.
Yeah, it is about 10 minutes.
And there's no way I could have stretched out, okay? I would have pulled the plane down, you know, just trying to even get the cramp out. Luckily, the cramp didn't stick. So, thank God for that, because that could have been one experience and a half. But anyway, the point was, when handing your life over as such, and that control over. I was actually okay. The view going up in the plane was okay. I quite enjoyed it. And as you say, it was lovely on Friday.
It was stunning.
Stunning.
Perfect skydiving weather.
The 40 shades of green that was out there looking down was absolutely marvellous, and over the coast, and we could see Hook Lighthouse.
Yeah, I got the sunset, so I got a multitude of colours.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. But then it came time to jump, and Eric and Cue Ball were the first two out. So when it came time to jump, the pilot sort of backs off on the motor, flips the door open, and then all of a sudden you get this rush of cold air come into the plane. And that at that point, then I thought, "Oh my God, this is it. I can't back out of here." And this is to meet your point. This is where I realised even if I didn't want to jump, I had no control over it because Dave was taking me out anyway.
Yeah, and it's trusting the person you're with. You're right. Once that door opens, you have to just let go.
There is no return.
There is no. And you've got to put your life in someone else's hands. And I think just for the skydiving crew there, it's to trust someone, it's people to people. And they have it down to a fine art.
Yes, their communication.
Fantastic. The tandem masters with the fears of people and, just building the confidence before they actually get into the plane and spending some time with them. And they're really sensitive to people's fears as well. They haven't had someone return down in the plane, ever. In the history of their company. Yeah,
well, I could imagine that because they very thorough. This is the one thing that I will say about really good professional people like this, is that they are so well drilled that the chance of fear entering in the case of the jumper is really minimised at least, because you don't even have to think about it. You just know that somebody else is in control. And, of course, then what happens is you have to go out to the door, to the edge of the door, and in the case of a tandem skydive, the master is still in the plane, and you're kind of hanging out over the edge.
Yeah, you're kind of just dangling there.
Yeah, in midair, 10,000 feet up, with no control. But what you have to do is kind of lift your head back onto the chest of the master, tuck your feet in underneath the fuselage of the plane or the cabin of the plane, and then he will leap out forward. Now, in my case, Dave didn't tell me what he was going to do. So what actually happened was I was in the position as he recommended for me to be, and then he proceeded to do a backflip. And that, I was expecting to go forward, and next thing you know, my whole world literally turned upside down.
Did you keep your eyes open? Did you see the underneath of the plane?
Well, it's very interesting because we go back into the fear thing about doing something like this, and remembering that I was doing this for suicide awareness primarily and prevention. And I thought I might have the eyes closed for the old free fall, but then I thought that'd be a complete waste of purpose of doing a free fall at all. But I expected to actually be quite petrified. And but as soon as we did the backflip, I mean, my eyes were open all the way through, and I was just loving every minute.
Yeah, you've got to keep your eyes open for a skydive. It's an experience that you're not going to be able to match in anything else that you do. So enjoy it. Keep your eyes open.
Absolutely.
I got the backflip, and I saw the underneath of the plane, the whole lot. My tandem master had primed me perfectly where to watch and where to look.
Excellent.
So I got a really great experience.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. All I saw was nature and nothing coming from me, which was which could have happened. I didn't know if the old heart was going to stand up to it. But as you say, we're doing the free fall, and we're above cloud here at this point, and we come through clouds, and then it opens out. The vista and the view underneath opens out there, and then of course the piece of audio you heard was where the parachute opened up, and it really, really is an amazing, amazing experience. So you're going to look forward to doing yours.
I can't wait now. I want to go now. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, as in the rules of all live radio, Rory, you said you're going to do it, so we have this audio tape, and we will play that back to you. Now, I've had a tweet here from Philip Nolan. Respect to Reclaim the Voice. That's myself. Now on audio on CRKC1 during a 10,000 tandem parachute jump. Philip, thank you very much for that. It really, I know, and Philip has spoken before with myself about fear of heights and things, and so fair play to you, Philip. I appreciate the comment there. Okay, let's have a look back, a little bit back into, we're talking about fear and courage, okay, and I'll just touch on this before we have to go to our next break. We're going to come back after the break with a piece of audio from some other people that did a jump that I was lucky enough to catch. But I just want to explain to the listeners out there the reason why I did this jump. And essentially, it was through meeting Liz, as I said earlier, about suicide prevention and awareness, which we can never get too much of. But for the listeners to understand, for me, there was a very, very big personal risk for me, which is where today's topic of fear and courage comes in. For me, there was a fear, not so much of falling out of the plane and hitting the ground, but of whether or not I would be alive by the time we hit the ground. Because you see, for some years ago now, about 15 years ago, I was unfortunate enough, and lucky enough in another sense, to have suffered a very, very severe head injury. And currently in my head, and they will stay there, is about 20 plates. My skull had to be rebuilt. My jaw was broken. I was blind, and unfortunately regained my sight. And I was in a pretty bad way. Basically, a concrete block had fallen off a scaffolding under my head on a building site that I was working on. So I wasn't quite sure if the plates in my head would stand up to the atmosphere at that point and maybe the G's that we were going to pull falling. But as I was assured by the divers and that, it was okay. There wasn't a doctor really that could even say I'd be right or not, because they would think for insurance purposes, they just wouldn't go down that road. So the fear was there for me, and I decided to run with it, whatever the risk. And it was a calculated risk, because I knew that as far as skydiving goes, it's a pretty safe sport here in Ireland. So that wasn't the risk for me. It was the actual head injury. Then the other side of that was the recovering from the head injury, which took me about 5 years to do. And the main part of that recovery was post-traumatic stress disorder. It was a killer. I didn't even know that the thing existed, and yet I was experiencing it. And so the reason, again, why I did this jump was knowing that it was quite possible that I could have uprooted and unseated some very, very deep trauma within my psyche. And I was prepared to go through that as a scientific experiment to see what would happen. And I know I didn't tell anybody about this, but that was primarily why I wanted for my own self to do that, as well as in tandem of raising funds for suicide prevention. And fortunately, I was aware of what I was doing and safe enough to do that. And 2 or 3 days now, we're Sunday now, so it's actually roughly about 48 hours since we hit back down on the tarmac. I can rest assured that and tell the listeners that it has been a very safe experience for me to do. The reason I mention all of this is because if there is somebody out there that is facing a fear, feeling down, feeling depressed, anything like that at all, where it's hindering your life, I hope just by what I did and what I explained there may somehow connect with you, where you feel that you can pick yourself up and go again. We'll be back right after these.
Your community radio station for Kilkenny City and environs. This is Community Radio Kilkenny City.